This is a quote from Warren Buffett, and he said, "We simply attempt to be fearful when others are greedy, and to be greedy when others are fearful." And I think he's just a great guy. Hey, Eric here, and welcome to my channel. So today we're going to talk about the 7 motivation quotes from Warren Buffett and how it impacted my life. When I first started investing 12 years ago, I was struggling a lot. I was actually day trading, I was short-term trading, and I was losing money left, right, and center. At that point, I didn't follow Warren Buffett. I didn't follow any of his investing strategies, and I was getting burnt in the market. So I was actually like the little fish being eaten by the sharks and a crocodile in the market. After many years of self-discovery, pain, agony, and so on, I finally discovered how to invest in the market profitably and earn 30% a year. And now I'm much more confident in investing, and it's very passive for me. So I don't spend a lot of time day trading anymore. I don't spend that much time looking at the markets. Whenever there is a disaster, I'm actually happy because I can take advantage of buying stocks when they're cheap instead of buying them at a premium. Let's get started with number 7. This is a quote from Warren Buffett, and he said, "We simply attempt to be fearful when others are greedy, and to be greedy when others are fearful." And I think this is a wonderful quote that talks about psychology, because whenever you're looking at the market, there is the historical performance, and there's also the future performance. And when you're looking at the future performance, of course, some smart investors are going to analyze and try to invest in the market using facts, using forecasts, using management projections, and compare that against its peers, and so on. But there are also another group of investors that are purely driven by emotion. And when I was day trading, I was actually one of these investors where I was just emotionally driven. When the market suddenly goes up, I buy, and then it goes against me, and I get angry, and then afterwards I would buy more, and I lose more money, and then within a day or two, it would wipe out my account as a day trader. But as I step back and I become a long-term investor, I can see the market much more clearly. And that's when this quote comes in. Is instead of buying when other people are being greedy, like everyone is yelling profits, 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 you buy when other people are fearful. So another saying would be, there's blood on the streets. Another saying might be, and you don't stop until they feel the pain. And if you watch the movie Big Short, then you would know what I mean. And it is a fantastic movie, so I would definitely recommend you to watch it. For the last 4 years, I have cracked the code for investing, and I really ingrained this rule into my investing strategy. So for example, in 2014 to 16, there's the oil price crash. So during that time, I took advantage of very, very cheap mining stocks, and I made almost 100% within 1 year investing in one of the largest mining companies in the world. And then later on, there was the hurricane, and that impacted the airlines a lot. And at that time, I got in at a very cheap price. And just last year, Trump trade war, and that impacted a lot of companies that have import and export. You want to be greedy when others are fearful, because that's when discount opportunities happen. And this is why this is my number 7th favorite quote from Warren Buffett. So number 6, price is what you pay and value is what you get. And at first, I actually didn't really understand this quote many years ago. If you go back to when I first started investing when I was 18, I completely have no idea what is the difference between price and value. I actually thought it's the same thing, but turns out it is very different. Now, when you look at a company, the stock price, it fluctuates every single day. Every minute, every second, it changes. That's the price. And your job as an investor is actually to wait for a good price. And usually for myself, I aim to get in at a deep discount. I would wait for a good, a great company to go on a discount because of some disasters or whatnot, and then I'll buy it, and then I will wait for it to go up. So it's a very passive strategy, and so far I only use around an hour or two a week as a long-term investor. So what is value then? Value, you can think of it like an imaginary number. And when you look at the chart, there is an invisible line that goes through it. And that is the value, which is how much is the company worth. So as an investor, your job is to understand and find out what the value is. And I think that's what most people struggle with because they're not familiar with fundamental analysis. And before I became a chartered professional accountant, a CPA, I was actually struggling with value as well. I was struggling with fundamental analysis because I don't have that accounting background. But once you understand, financial statements, once you understand how to calculate value, then it becomes very easy to find companies that are undervalued. And within my coaching program, Investing Accelerator, I actually teach people without financial background to calculate the value in less than 3 hours. So once you know the shortcut, it becomes very, very simple. So number 5, risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. Another great quote from Warren Buffett. A lot of people are concerned about risk when you're investing. And during 2008, a lot of people lost money. And that's actually the first year I started to invest in the market. And risk comes from not know what you're doing can mean you're losing hundreds and thousands of dollars in the markets. I was actually chatting with one of my subscribers the other day, and he doesn't have a financial background, just jumped straight into day trading, and then his account was $1 million. Within 1 year, he lost the entire $1 million trying to day trade himself. And then afterwards, he got angry, he got emotional, kind of like rule number 7, and then he put in another $1 million, and then he lost it again. Now, of course, he's a real estate investor, so then he has more cash flow behind the scenes, but then you don't want to lose $2 million within a year. That is really because he didn't know what he was doing. If you don't have an investing strategy, it is actually very dangerous to invest in the market. For a long time, in my investing journey, I don't have a solid strategy. I would go search online, I would search on Google, and find a different strategy every day, and I would test them out using real money. And I didn't know, but at that point, I didn't know what I was doing. And I was losing money left, right, and center. And my strategy is incohesive, it's not written down, it's not logical, it's not efficient, and most importantly, it was not profitable. So that's why today I actually list out every single step I have in my investing strategy onto one document. And then I know exactly what I need to do. I know exactly the sequence in which I need to do it. And that's why I can really streamline my process, reduce my risk, multiply my return within like 2 hours a week using passive investing. Quote number 4. I always knew I was going to be rich. I don't think I ever doubted it for a minute. And I think this is actually a very inspiring quote because it goes to show how confident Warren Buffett is. When I was younger, I actually wasn't sure whether I'm going to be rich or not. And I think there's always that uncertainty in the back of my mind where, you haven't figured life out. There's so many uncertain variables going around and everything seems to be changing all the time. The market is always changing. How can you be sure that you're going to be rich even if you put in the hard work? Doubt that people also experience. And if you are, doubting yourself in terms of your ability, then leave a comment below and let me know. After I mastered investing, I finally understood what Warren Buffett means. Now, I didn't put this quote in here, but Warren Buffett focuses on investing in companies that he's absolutely sure that he'll win. He focuses on investing in companies that he's like 99% sure he'll win. After I figure out investing, I realize I also have that rule in my investing strategy. And I only invest in companies where I'm 99 or 95% sure I'm going to win. And that really changed the way I look at the stock market. That really changed the way I invest in the markets because I no longer go for low probability opportunities. I no longer think that I'm gambling. I no longer feel like, I have to take a lot of risk in order to make money in the market. And right now, I'm a much more peaceful and calm person compared to before. Quote number 3, our favorite holding period is forever. And this is one of my favorite quote, and I think it's actually kind of funny because, I think in the stock markets, a lot of people will ask you, how long do you plan to hold it for? And some people will say, 6 months, 2 weeks, 2 months, a year, a couple of years. And for Warren Buffett, it's about holding it forever. And I think that makes a lot of sense because imagine you found an absolutely great company. Maybe it's Tesla, maybe it's Apple when it was in the 1980s. And if you have that hindsight, knowing what Apple and Tesla is today, you don't want to exit that stock. You want to keep on holding on to it. And that is really what this quote is about. It's about holding on to great companies, letting your winners run so that you can get the maximum amounts of profit. And I really implemented that within my investing strategy. What I do is I always start by thinking long term. I always think long term about how this company is going to grow for the next 5 to 10 years. And I like to invest in companies that I know will be around for a very, very long time. So I don't necessarily invest in very young or small companies. I invest in companies that are dominating the market so that I'm confident I can hold it for a long time. And then afterwards, I work backwards. And then I figure out when is the best time to enter the market. I figure out, what is the pattern, the best price, and then I figure out, what I need to do to multiply my profits 2 to 3 times using stock options. That's how I implemented this quote into my investing strategy. So number 2. So it is only when the tide goes out that you discover who has been swimming naked. And this is actually a very famous quote, and it's probably one of the most famous quotes from Warren Buffett. And this is really talking about people who don't know how to use leverage, people who don't know how to manage their risk. And when I first started out investing, I was actually struggling with this a lot. I was one of the people who are swimming naked. So risk management is probably one of the most crucial things in investing. Like, how did you hear horror stories where people lost 80,000 during 2008? It's probably because they don't have risk management. How do you know that people lost 2 million in 1 year through day trading? Because they don't have risk management. Risk management is crucial in investing, and if you don't have it, you will blow your account. So if you have been blowing your account, it means that you have a risk management problem. And when I first started out investing, I was blowing my accounts every week or 2 weeks or even a month as a day trader. And the second one is leverage. Leverage is really a double-edged sword, and the misuse of leverage can lead to a margin call. So then it will force the broker to sell your positions immediately, and that will lead to a loss in your portfolio. After mastering investing, I really learned how to control my risk to be as little as possible, and then maximize my return using leverage. And when you're able to maximize your return using leverage while minimizing your loss using a risk management procedure, then that is when you really shine as an investor. And I do this by using stock options. It is not a very common instrument. Not a lot of people know how to use stock options effectively. So finally, rule number 1. Warren Buffett's quote also says, rule number 1, never lose money. And rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. Now this is a slight repeat of the previous quote because it's about, not losing money. It's about risk management. And essentially, this quote really brings all the quotes that I talked about earlier together because you want to be very confident in your investment. You want to manage your risk, and you want to multiply your profits so then you don't lose money. When I was day trading, I was actually testing a lot of strategies. And if you're familiar with trading, you probably understand a concept called risk to reward ratio. Now, a lot of people like to play with their risk to reward ratio. Some people like to do 1-to-1, so you earn $1 or you lose $1. Some people like to earn 2-to-1, so you earn $2 and you lose $1. And I was testing something really extreme, like I will earn $1, but I might lose 100. Now, it might seem illogical at first, but then by playing with the risk to reward ratio and testing it out in different markets, I actually got a very, very good understanding of how the probability changes when you play with the risk to reward ratio. So that's one of the most interesting discovery I found when I was learning how to program my own strategy in the market. And then afterwards, I tested over 300 strategies. And I built all the lessons into my investing strategy today. So then I have very, very tight risk management. And what I figured is that if I'm using stop loss, somehow the broker knows exactly what my stop loss is. And they will always hit my stop loss first before going to the target price. And there's actually a common term within the investing world called stop loss hunting, where the brokers know where the most common stop loss are, and then they'll make the price go down, hit the stop loss, make you lose money, and then bring the price back up. And I thought that was very sneaky. And afterwards, I changed my risk management approach around that so then the broker can no longer track my stop loss. So that is really the top 7 quotes from Warren Buffett, and I explained each one of them to you. So hopefully that's very helpful. My name is Eric Cito, and my mission is really to help people without financial background to earn 30% a year using an hour a week through a coaching program called Investing Accelerator. And if you are interested, you can actually watch the free webinar by clicking the link below. So make sure you click the link below, and then you can sign up. It's completely free, and I explain how I invest in the market in there. And then if you are a good fit, you can schedule a call, and we can have a chat to see if the program is right for you.